Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
RoadToRoot.com. Endgame investing. It is so insane out there. Everything is being exposed as we speak. Road to Root, a theory that there's good guys behind the scenes who are going to destroy the unbacked fiat monetary system with the popping of the derivative bubble that I talked about since I discovered the documents at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston back in 2007 is absolutely coming true. Almost, it's weird, if you're a spiritual person or you think you can manifest things in life, the insanity of what, if this is just me manifesting this, because it's turning out almost, not exactly, but pretty much as I thought back in 2007, the destruction of everything. That's the only way to move from here to there, from a unbacked criminal pedophile system into something better, something our founding fathers wanted and all that. The only way to do that is to destroy the fiat monetary system entirely. They, whoever they might be, they have 99.999% of the wealth. We know that. Elon found 14 computers that were creating as much money as you want with no backing out of the U.S. government at like the highest levels. But that's not all it was. And it was, Catherine Austin Fitts has found hundreds of trillions that are just created out of thin air. Ultimately, that's what Ruta wrote in the sand in the original Road to Ruta documents from the Fed is create fiat money to infinity to crash the system and go back to a gold and silver standard. Cryptos will play a role in the future. I don't know if it's Bitcoin. I have my favorite, and I'll tell you that in a second. But it's all happening, and it's happening right now. And I posted for private road members kind of an analysis on a date and all that stuff. Go to roadtoruta.com, and there's a link to subscribe today, and you can subscribe to the private road. I'll keep the private road up and running as long as I can. How's that? Will the internet be working? I don't know. And how far away are we? We're so close, it's scary. Will silver be put at minus $40 like they did with oil, or will it be put at $1 million an ounce to destroy everything? I don't know, but I am prepared for that end game now, and you should be too. Assets in your own possession. I don't know what else to tell you. Nothing else is going to survive this. And I'll tell you why. First of all, silver might do it. Anybody who's followed me for the past 25 years knows I think silver is the number one investment that everybody should have before they even think about Bitcoin or cryptos or anything. The returns on silver, if the system stays together or if it doesn't stay together, the purchasing power of silver will be infinitely more than any crypto you can pick, even the returns on Bitcoin. Silver is going to probably 1 to 10 ratio with gold. And the reason I say that is I don't just pick it out of my ass. The reason I say that is, number one, silver has been price suppressed since, the mid 1800s. Everybody in silver long enough can understand that to different degrees. Well, since the invention of the computer rigging programs in the early 70s by Alan Greenspan, it's been easier to control. But look at 1980, silver hit $50, and where are we right now? $50. Whereas gold, it hit $850, I think, in 1980, something like that, and now it's at $4,000, $4,200, whatever it is right now. Why did gold go up so much and silver didn't go up at all? Gold's just a monetary metal. Silver's a monetary metal as well as the most important industrial metal on the planet. There's more gold out there than there is silver. There's 100 reasons why the gold-silver ratio at 80 to 1 or wherever it is right now is so ridiculous. And that's part of this transition. Silver can destroy the banking system, but I don't even think they're going to need silver, and here's why. House plans to vote Tuesday on releasing the Epstein files. So I've been saying for a very long time that, especially in the past 30 or 40 years, the pedo cabal has been controlling our lives and the banking system and all that. They use blackmail. They use every vile thing you can imagine. They've been in charge. And to certain degrees, people have tried to take them out. Reagan tried to take him out. Kennedy tried to take him out. And it just is so deep and ingrained into our financial system, which I will show you in a second. It's going to blow your mind just how big this Epstein thing is, because it is not just Epstein, and it is not at all. I mean, who cares if Donald Trump's in there or not? That is not what's going on. What's going on is the final piercing of the $3 quadrillion derivative bubble. And what would that do to your checking account, savings account, 401k, anything held by a third party? Will be gone. Poof. Will the internet be up and running? Probably sporadically. Does the United States have a plan? Yes. Yes, we do. And that's why it's not why it's taken so long. I mean, we always knew, the true patriots within the United States knew that in 1913, when they signed the Federal Reserve Act, I think because of all the gold we found in the Grand Canyon, I think millions of tons, not 200,000 tons like Jeff Christian and the Gold Council will say. There's millions of tons of gold. That's the other reason the gold-silver ratio is going to flip to 10 to 1, or from it probably, if you did the calculations just on a monetary side, we're pulling it out of the ground at 7 to 1. It should be a minimum of 7 to 1, the price of silver versus the price of gold. But the actuality of what gold-silver ratio used to be priced by before 71, when we went off the pseudo-gold standard, I mean, you can just count the years that we had to run away from anything that constricted the amount of fiat money you can create. Of course they're going to create it to infinity. Of course we are. Everybody would. And every time it crashes, it goes back to gold. And silver. Now this time is different. Why is it different? Because since the Industrial Revolution, we've used up all that silver we used to use that as money. So I do think silver will be much more valuable than gold. And again, there's massive amounts of gold. I kind of had a falling out with my GATA buddies when I was writing for GATA and Bill Murphy and those guys, because they didn't like what I was saying about where my research led me to the amount of gold available in the world. If you read Peggy and Sterling Seagrave's book, Gold Warriors, you're going to find out what that's a half a million tons of gold they're talking about, and more. And with the backup, with the congressional reporting, with the Marcos situation in the Philippines, with the, you name it, Supreme Court hearings, and it's just everywhere. The proof is everywhere that there was massive amounts of gold hidden in the Philippines. But that's not even the big stuff. And that was the 1940s when the deep state dark budgets came around. Is that gold gone now? I don't know. Is it important? It was at the time. There wasn't much gold when we found all the gold in the Grand Canyon in the early 1900s, and we don't know how much there is. Every time you open a cave in the Grand Canyon, they seal it up. There's no caves you can go in the Grand Canyon. There's one that's a tourist cave, but you can only go to part of it. There's over 2,000 caves in the Grand Canyon that nobody's allowed to go in, and they'll shoot you if you try. So don't try. There's massive amounts of gold hidden there that has been there for countless decades. I mean, going back, way back before the pyramids were built, believe it or not. We don't even have to go there. There's gold in the sand in the Grand Canyon, placer gold, billions of ounces. Back in the early 1900s, there was only 130 million ounces of gold in the U.S. and about 200 to 300 million ounces of gold in the entire global financial system, and non-monetary gold. That's all the gold there was. Literally only a few 100 million ounces. And then they find billions of ounces in the sand in the Grand Canyon along the Colorado River, and then they lock it up. Woodrow Wilson, surprise, surprise, locked up the Grand Canyon after he gave the banking cabal the the job, literally gave the banks the job of controlling the monetary system. We were on a gold standard. We had a silver component, but it was really a gold standard for the banking situation, the countries and things like that. So anyway, since then we've always known we'd have to go back to a gold standard, and we have so much gold, and gold quantity doesn't matter. In relation to things, it does matter, right? So if we have the U.S. says they have 88,200 tons of gold or something like that. That's the tiniest amount of gold. If you do just scratch the surface of like Chocolate Mountain gunnery range in California, where they found all this gold, and they flew all these congressmen out there to see it, and then they locked it up. And sorry, the 40% of California gold's country has been locked up by Dianne Feinstein, believe it or not, in national parks, and save the spotted toad wildlife preserve. That's all about the gold in the ground, and there's a hell of a lot of gold. There's not much silver left, and because we've used it all up, we've used up so much silver. So silver will probably be a big part. Back to why I'm saying there's urgency. In order to keep this con going, you had to allow whoever was running the show to be able to transfer as much money at any time they wanted to anybody they wanted, as long as they were on the inside. Epstein was part of the apparatus to do that. And now somehow Trump got the left to be jumping up and down and screaming for the release of the Epstein files. And if they released all the Epstein files, it would be good night monetary system. It would be good night half of Congress, 3/4 of Congress. So supposedly they're going to vote on Tuesday to destroy the whole system. And the reason why is if they do release the files, all of them, JPMorgan Chase, the largest bank in the world, along with all the other banks that Epstein was part of, but JPMorgan Chase was the main banking entity. But they were transferring it like hundreds of millions of dollars to other banks who had to know about it. They did know about it. It's all part of the same game. So now, I don't know how Trump does this, but he got it so that he's probably the greatest actor in the world. He's turned the whole table so that the Democrats are just begging to expose the Epstein files because they think Trump's in there. Whether or not he is, it doesn't really matter. All their friends are in there, and everybody in Congress who's part of that is going to have to vote for themselves to be kicked out because they think only part of the Epstein files are going to be released. I think Trump's going to expose all of the Epstein files, which is like, holy crap. And here's what Trump said. Trump asked the DOJ to probe Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with Clinton, JPMorgan, and Summers. You might think, oh, well, yeah, the only bank that Epstein really used was JPMorgan Chase because he got money for the girls. Really? That's all you know about that? Let's go down that path real quickly, just so I can show you it's so much bigger than what you're hearing in the news. So Trump says the DOJ, we're going to probe everybody. And JPMorgan Chase actually came out with a statement. And you'd think they'd come out with a statement denying everything, right? JPMorgan Chase fires back. Government kept damning Epstein info. They're not denying that they were knee-deep in Epstein. They're saying, well, the government kept this information from us. The government knew what was going on. JPMorgan Chase pushed back Friday after Donald Trump announced that he asked the Department of Justice to investigate the bank, along with other institutions and individuals, over their ties to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. JPMorgan Chase spokeswoman Patricia Wexler said in a statement that federal authorities possessed damning information about Epstein that was never shared with the bank. You have damning information. You've known about it for so long. But they're saying it was never shared with the bank. The government never came to them because the government, our government is in cahoots with them. Anyway, even in case you're wondering whether this Trump thing is going to be something real, the investigation, or something covered up. They put Jay Clayton in charge of this thing. Jay Clayton, the same guy who ran the SEC. He's been covering up for years for the banking cabal. He did the Bear Stearns, JPMorgan. I mean, he's knowledgeable. He knows the deep stateness of it all. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't know. If you do release everything, which I think at some point they will, hopefully it's right away. We need a Band-Aid pull on this one because even if it trickles out, let's just say this trickles out. People start going to Wall Street on Parade. Wall Street on Parade has been documenting JPMorgan. They hate Trump, by the way. They're very lefty as far as that goes. But they've been documenting the Epstein, JPMorgan stuff for years and years. And it's not, oh, he went to the bank and got some ATM money. No, there's dozens of people at JPMorgan Chase senior management involved. Hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in transactions, billions upon billions. Here's a document from one of the lawsuits. And the judge said, give me all your accounts that are Jeffrey Epstein related. So JPMorgan Chase had to produce all the accounts that were Jeffrey Epstein related in large transactions. Look at this. Look at all these accounts and all these transactions. Look at the size of these transactions. $100 million. Bank of America transferred from JPMorgan to Bank of America. Alan Dershowitz was the beneficiary. That's $100,000. $100,000 to Alan Dershowitz. Another 100 to Gerald LeCourt. 50,000 to, these are all different accounts. Book transfer, UK, Manhattan Bank, Chase. Every single one of these transactions had to be approved by SWIFT. No, XRP people, don't get excited. XRP will be worth zero very soon. The banks collapse, there's no need for XRP, right? Okay. Book transfer, 72,000, 150,000, 90,000, 75,000. These are all within days. 2.5 million transfer, National Financial Services of Boston to from Alan Dershowitz, National Federal. Each one of these banks that Epstein was dealing with other people in this huge corrupt network is just as guilty because they're required to know why the hell they're transferring 2.5 million from a known pedophile, convicted pedophile. McGuire Group, $1 million. And this was all like within 2 months. It just goes on and on, the farther back you go. And all of these are Zorro Development. We know that's his Arizona pedophile station and all this stuff. All this has to be released. And this is what I'm trying to say. This isn't a little operation. Dozens of people within JPMorgan had to approve these transactions. $6.5 million. Citibank, Bear Stearns. Well, there you go. Beneficiary, Jeffrey Epstein. Right there. $6.5 million on September 6, 2007. This is not a little deal. When you investigate the banking system in Epstein, you find all these people who had to be involved. As a matter of fact, and if you can just keep going down and down and down, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars through Epstein for one reason or the other. A lot of it probably bribery stuff with the underage girls. And we know he was filming them all the people who went to his house. Look at this, $12.976 million. Wachovia Bank, Island Global Yacht LLC. He had all these shell corporations. $13 million. $13 million went overseas. That 100% has to be investigated by and approved by the Fed and SWIFT. Who approved that at the Fed? 100 million, 100 million, 100 million. It's just, it's endless. And you can find this stuff at Wall Street on Parade. And then you get down to all these shell corporations. Like Ghislaine Maxwell. She's getting to hundreds of millions of dollars. NES LLC, New York Strategy Group. the Koach Foundation, Forums, Lake Ranch LLC the third, Air Ghislaine. This is just insane. All these transactions are approved and set up, and Wall Street on Parade even had a list. And so that list, I said, all right, Grok, give me just the people who are verified, that can be verified from JPMorgan who are involved in this, and look at this list. Jamie Dimon, of course, he knew everything. Jess Stanley was the actual guy who had an office a couple doors down from Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon said he didn't know Epstein at all until 2019. Fucking liar. He goes back to the 80s, I believe, through Bank One merger. Jess Stanley, he's already in jail or dead, or I don't know where JPMorgan sued him. Mary Rodas, she was a huge participant. And she was the CEO of Asset Wealth Management at JPMorgan. John Duffy, the CEO of the private bank, 2004 article listing him among 14 visitors from JPMorgan to Epstein residences, tied to cash handling and in a lawsuit in the Virgin Islands. David Frame oversaw high net worth individual comms on the visitors list for Epstein's house. All these people, managing director Paul Bartlett, handled accounts process. All these people are part of the discovery of lawsuits. Wall Street on Parade has listed all of them. Go check it out. Look at all these people. It's just crazy. And they all knew. Key observations. Nearly all employee executive claims, 15 out of 17, are fully supported from Wall Street on Parade, often via a single article from 2024 listing 14 named visitors from JPMorgan filings. Dimon, Stanley, Rodas received the most scrutiny in 20 of the articles. Yeah, it's 100%. So, is this a big deal? The largest bank in the world, at a time when everybody's literally wobbling. Every country, every state and local government, every individual, there's just so much debt. The monetary system's a mess. We're looking at not only the largest bank in the world, but the largest derivative holder. So where's the banks over? I think it's about $60 trillion in derivatives, and they have $4 trillion in assets. If JPMorgan goes, everything goes with it. And I think that's the bubble pop. And also the silver manipulation ends. They are the kingpin of that. Them and BlackRock, and there's a few banks, but there's nobody who can take over that mantle. If you have SLV, it'll be gone. That'll be part of whatever happens to JPMorgan, it'll be gone. Now is not the time to have assets anywhere but your own possession. Now, as far as price, I don't know. I don't know if the price of Bitcoin is going to be put at $1 million or put at minus $40, like they did with oil. Yes, they can put Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is fine. Bitcoin, the protocol and all that, other than the core developers having the ability to mess with it, but they can only do so much. It doesn't mean it's going to be worth anything. Who are the largest Bitcoin holders? People who are part of the financial system. What are those people going to have to do, especially the banks and public corporations? They got to sell all their liquid assets when this thing falls apart. Everything gets sold at the same time. But I don't think we'll even know the price of Bitcoin or any of the cryptos until after. That's why I'm a big proponent of just get your crypto, get it in your own possession, and wait. Cryptos will be part of our future, I have no doubt. And I'll get to what I think the biggest one will be. Or two. There's two that... It's only really 3 assets I recommend holding right now. Number 1, physical silver in your own possession. If you live in the U.S., U.S. Mint-made silver is your best bet. Pre-65 coinage is selling for right around spot, which is crazy, in my opinion. And there are legal reasons why. When we go back to a gold and silver standard in the United States, it won't be somebody raising their hand and deciding. We're going to say, well, we already have it on the books. It's the only thing we can do that we don't have to agree on because it's already there. I hope that makes sense to everybody. And gold, yes, gold will be part of the monetary system. It's just that there's a hell of a lot more gold than silver. Like a hell of a lot more. And if I'm correct that all these hidden gold finds that people have seen everywhere, now they're in the media, they're talking about that China has been hoarding over 1,500 tons a year secretly of gold. Well, Jim Sinclair was telling us they were holding 2,000 tons a year for the past 30 years. So you don't know how much gold there is out there. And that will be part of the come to Jesus moment. And if we really do have millions of tons of gold, I think the U.S. will be the best off. China has a hell of a lot that they just know the game. And Russia has a lot. I remember Putin sent his number one advisor, not to there was a big World Economic Forum meeting, the biggest one yet, or one of those entities, and Putin sent his number one financial advisor to the Yukon meeting of the GATA guys in the Yukon territory in Canada. And I was like, this was a long time ago. And Putin knows. Absolutely he knows. He knows everything I've talked about. It's not like, this is hidden stuff. You just got to not watch the mainstream media. So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Hopefully we can do it without blowing up each other up. But, that's usually how it ends. And we are on the verge of another world war. How will it work? I don't know. China has already said 1,000 times they're going to take over Taiwan. Either they're going to take over when they want. And it'll either be militarily or they'll just walk in. If they blow up the chip manufacturing facilities in Taiwan, you're going to set the computer industry back and AI back 10 years. It'll take 10 years to rebuild that kind of capacity. And they know that. Taiwan probably kamikazed each building with, bombs to that. If we lose, well, we're just going to blow up the buildings and blame China. So it's going to get so ugly out there. And if they do blow up the buildings, keep an eye on Theta. The Theta edge nodes is, I think, the only solution if the chips aren't made anymore and the storage capacities, let's say 90% of it isn't made anymore. Now, Trump is trying to create facilities in the U.S. and manufacture our own chips and computer equipment and all that. It's going to take, like I said, 10 years to do it. This is not something you just, hey, let's fire up a machine in a warehouse. Elon probably could. He's created these facilities pretty fast, but it takes literally, it took decades to create what is, in Taiwan right now. And that's heating up. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look. China urges citizens not to visit Japan over Taiwan row. Yeah, I would think that depending on what goes on in the financial system, I think China will move into Taiwan before July 4th of next year. It could be happen any day, truthfully. I think Trump will make his move on the financial side when the system starts to wobble. And when it starts to wobble, there's no bailouts. I hope everybody knows. The Democrats have already said they don't want Trump to succeed. They don't care who they take down because of it. So that's where we are. Isn't it a fun place to be? Now, let's talk about the assets. Theta Fuel is down at like 2 cents. Theta Fuel probably should be, right now, probably 10-1 with Theta. Both are massively undervalued. And you look at all the other cryptos, and it's like, what do they do? Most of them don't do anything. Most of them, it's this is a great meme coin, and the people who invest in these things, first of all, you got the pedo cabal in almost every single cryptocurrency, like knee deep. The Brock Pierce crowd and things like that, knee deep in all the cryptos. I'm thinking of cryptos after the crash. That's That's where my mindset is. You should have cryptos that you want to hold after the crash, and then look at what will be useful for humanity after the crash. Well, if we go back on a gold and silver standard in the U.S., I think we will. Bitcoin won't be as useful as a store of value, and that's all really Bitcoin is a store of value, because we're going to go back to gold. Now, what will gold be valued at? I don't know, because it won't be U.S. dollars. U.S. dollars will be done. We live in a fractional reserve system. If JPMorgan goes down, no bank is left. The minute we were like hours away from the whole thing being self-destructed on September 11th, 2008, hours away. But they decided to bail everybody out. They claimed, what did they claim, $100 billion, or I don't even remember what the Obama bailout was. But it's all done in the background with infinity money and computers. So they decided, but this time, the U.S. is the big winner if the system is destroyed. Why do I say that? Because we're the largest debtor nation by far in the world. It was always the plan. I hope everybody knows that. Ruta wrote it in the sand in the Fed documents: create money to infinity. And then we go back to a gold standard. So back to Theta, why I think Theta, and especially Theta Fuel, will be so important in the future is that AI is doable. And here's Elon talking about where he thinks the world is going. Listen to this discussion. It's about a minute of it. This is his latest with Joe Rogan that was done a couple weeks ago.
The X phone. People keep talking.
Oh, man.
Is that
I have a lot on
still?
my plate, man.
I know, but it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up where I know I've asked you a couple times, like, this is bullshit, right? But, like,
I'm not working on one.
You're not working on it?
I'm not working on a phone.
Okay. Have you ever considered it? Has it ever popped in your head? Because you might be the only person that could get people off of the Apple platform.
Well, I can tell you where I think things are going to go, which is that we're not going to have a phone, or in the traditional sense. What we call a phone will really be an edge node for AI inference, for AI video inference, with some radios to obviously connect to. But essentially you'll have AI on the server side communicating to an AI on your device, formerly known as a phone, and generating real-time video of anything that you could possibly want. And I think that there won't be operating systems, there won't be apps. In the future, there won't be operating systems or apps. It'll just be, you've got a device that is there for the screen and audio and for and to put as much AI on the device as possible, so as to minimize the amount of bandwidth that's needed between your edge node device, formerly known as a phone, and the servers.
So if
Elon just described exactly what Theta Labs has patented. Now, the crypto viewing guys came out with a reading on Theta, not Theta Fuel, on Theta, saying, "Oh, it's nothing exciting here. It's going to be a stable coin." Blah blah. I don't know about that. It will be a stable coin. Theta is the governance token of the Theta Edge network. The real thing, the shift that happened in Theta, is that they went from being a content delivery network provider, which is important, and people said, oh, they couldn't do that, so they went on to AI. No, that's not what happened. It works great. As a matter of fact, I have a bunch of edge nodes right now sharing the capacity and the bandwidth so that it works. What they did is say, well, if we could do it so well with content delivery networks, why can't we do it with everything on the computer? The hard drive, the processing power, the bandwidth, all that. And that's what they did. So now Theta has this technology, 25, 28 patents, something like that. What Elon just described is patented technology. And Theta, it's not like Reggie Middleton. I'm going to get to Reggie in a second. Reggie Middleton invented peer-to-peer capital markets right after Bitcoin was created, and he got a patent on it. And Reggie Middleton is Reggie Middleton. He's not a big entity, so they took him down. What he probably should have done, which I wouldn't agree to, but is work with all the banks and kind of say, hey, I have this technology. Do you want to be in on it? And they, in the beginning, they didn't know. I mean, Jamie Dimon didn't get on board with cryptos until probably this year. And now they have the JPMorgan coin that they use for overseas transfers and all that stuff that XRP want to be. We all knew XRP was a joke. I mean, it's the antithesis of what crypto should be. XRP was a tool invented by a couple guys, some of them deep state. Brock Pierce was an early investor. And that tool I can invent it now. I mean, it's been surpassed so much, and I don't know any central bank that's ever endorsed XRP, any country, any treasury secretary in the U.S. or anywhere else ever would. I mean, it's a powerful thing. The SWIFT system that's power. And XRP having a couple schmoes out there in the crypto world controlling that world, it's not going to happen. You've been lied to. You've been lied to a lot with XRP. And they came after me, the XRP army, they called themselves. They were paid by Ripple to go after people on the internet in the early days. I don't know, they got their own guys, and they've done some weird shit with quantum financial system. They got Jim Willie promoting it and all this. It's crazy insanity. No, XRP will never be integrated into the financial system. First of all, the financial system, as we know it, will be gone. Okay. And there's no need for XRP. And there's nothing XRP does that any other blockchain couldn't do better. Anyway, sorry, I just get pissed off when I think about XRP because I took so much shit for years. But it is what it is. So, yeah, I do think, and I don't know if they're going to put, I don't think you'll know the value of any asset. You're going to want certain things in your physical possession for the future. There are many ways you can crash the crypto market on a standalone. Let's just say Trump says, why don't we release Reggie Middleton from his shackles? What would that do? And Trump's family's knee-deep in the cryptos too. Is it something he set up to sacrifice himself as well in the crypto world? Say, well, Reggie Middleton has the patent on all this stuff. CBDCs, stable coins, Ethereum, all that stuff. Coinbase. And the reason you don't see Veritasium on CoinMarketCap anymore, CoinMarketCap is owned by the digital currency group, Barry Siebert, something like that. It's the deep state pedo world that runs that website. And Tether and all that stuff, that needs to be washed away. And Trump is doing an amazing thing by integrating the cryptos into a system that's about to be destroyed. I know this scares a lot of people. After the crash, you got to think, what are we going to need after the crash? Do we need to share bandwidth? Absolutely. Do we need to share processing power? Is AI actually going to be integrated? If it is, Theta didn't do what Reggie did. Reggie tried to do it on his own. Theta went to Google, Amazon, Samsung, Sony. Now they're getting all the telecom companies in. Theta Fuel, I think. Theta Fuel will be shocking. I see at some point a 1-to-1 ratio between Theta and Theta Fuel, and that price in the thousands. Like Michelle White Dove. I think she's absolutely right. Just think how big it would be. Even if Elon said, yeah, we're going to do this edge node thing with these, we're going to put them in every Tesla. And oh, by the way, well, we wanted to do it on our own, but there's something better that we won't run the blockchain, and that's Theta. We're going to put a Theta edge node in every robot, in every auto, so that we can have wide distribution of all the excess capacity everywhere. That's your holy crap moment. That's when Theta Fuel goes from 2 cents to $200 in a blink of an eye. And everyone's like, I don't get it. I know you don't get it. Crypto people are not real savvy. They can't see past this coin went up. This is a meme coin. Thank God I got into this for 5 seconds. So that's my number two investment for the endgame. Endgame investments. Number one, by far, silver in your own possession. If you're in the U.S., U.S. mint-made coinage. I don't know what's going to happen to the rest of it. Could be nationalized. Anything in a large depository will probably be nationalized. That's the number one. And if you're in Australia, get the Perth Mint coins. If you're in Canada, get the Royal Canadian Mint coins. Because of the scenario of ending the global financial system because JPMorgan went down or whatever happens, whoever pops that bubble, I think it will be absolutely appropriate for an entity like JPMorgan to be blamed for the cause of the destruction of the system. These people are evil. The girls used to call Jamie Dimon Jamie Demon. He said demon. That's what they call him. So keep that in mind. Who are we going to blame for this? Appropriate. JPMorgan, HSBC will be blamed, probably in the silver world. HSBC is the big silver short. They have been since the 1850s. I hope this is all sinking in the urgency of this all. Again, China is now saying, don't go to Japan. Something's going to happen fast. Probably before the end of the year. Definitely before July 4th. July 4th, Trump wants the system to be coming back. The 250-year anniversary of the United States of America. He wants the system to be coming back. He wants all the rejiggering to be done. The remote viewing guys, again, they just did a remote viewing on the revaluation of the dollar. There's no such thing as a revaluation of the dollar when you're not on a gold standard. So ask 10 people what a revaluation of the dollar means. You're going to get 10 different answers. Back when we were on a gold standard, yes, they revalued the dollar in 1933-34 from $20 and something cents to $35. That's the revaluation because you were on a gold standard. And then all it was revalued in accordance with the dollars that they had out. Now, what are we now? We're not on a gold standard. So what does a revaluation of the dollar mean? Who cares if the U.S. changes the book holding number of what they hold gold on the books for from $42 to 10x, $4,200. Who cares? They still have the asset. It's still, whether or not they mark to market doesn't really matter because there's no constriction, no restriction on the amount of money we can make. There's none. The Fed can do whatever they want. We know from Elon's Doge that 14 computers were paying people out of thin air with no bank account, no books behind it. It's just infusing trillions of dollars into the economy. How much did Barack Obama give himself? There was no limit and no tracking, no way to track it. Other than that it went in these criminal banks, and we've already seen just how criminal these banks are. I mean, look at these transactions. How much of this went to Barack Obama and Joe Biden? I mean, literally billions, maybe, I would guess trillions of dollars have been siphoned off just for the politicians. It is insane, my friends. So that's where we are. Now, the third asset. So number one, you want silver in your pocket. You need a little cash and a little food to get through. There's probably 2 weeks of chaos, 3 weeks of chaos, 6 months of trying to rebuild, but still chaotic. And then hopefully we're starting on the right path by July 4th, by the big celebration. And Trump and his people, the good guys as I call them, behind the scenes, are the ones who can do this. We've never had a president who's been able to do this. Many presidents have tried, to an extent. I mean, Reagan probably came the closest. And then Alan Greenspan, when he crashed the market in the Black Monday in 1987, that was all computer-driven. From Alan Greenspan's computer programs, he tried to do it, couldn't do it. Then he blew up the bubble for 2000. It wasn't big enough. Then he blew up the bubble for the housing market. He left 2 years before the Fed, and it wasn't big enough. It was close. Senator Ken Jaworski, or House Representative Ken Jaworski, said we were, what did he say, 2 hours away from the whole system melting down. So we decided to bail everybody out. That won't happen this time. Okay, so back to crypto. Again, the monkey wrench. This is the third thing. So number 1, physical silver in your own possession. Number 2, Theta Fuel. That's my number 1. If you're into building for the future, you want to have some Theta Fuel in your possession. Crypto.com. Crypto.com sells it. If you need help with cryptos, go to Caleb and Brown. Caleb and Brown, you can find them. Go to roadtoroota.com and you go to the affiliate section. Oh, it's right here. Affiliates right here. And they're on that affiliate section. By the way, if you want to get your money out of your retirement accounts without paying penalties and get it into your own control, contact Will Lair at Unbound Assets. Go check out the affiliate section. Lots of great stuff there. Caleb and Brown right here at the bottom. You can contact them. They'll give you a good deal on setting you up and put you on a fast track to set you up because everything needs to be fast tracked now. So yeah, go to roadtoroota.com to get that. But they won't sell you Veritasium. They can sell you Theta Fuel and Theta, but I recommend Theta Fuel because it is the future, and Theta will be a great governance token. And people like Google and Samsung want to have the governance, but that's not as important as the T-Fuel at 2 cents, literally. This is the thing that the monkey wrench is the way to get the crypto pedo cabal out of the game, and which is a big thing for Trump and those guys. They need to get those guys out. You need to destroy it for the majority of it. And this is the thing that will do that. This is the Reggie Middleton patent filed originally in 2014. And then it's been approved. In 2021, it was approved. Matter of fact, and these and others, this is all the Reggie Middleton patents going back to 2015, the official file application. And then he filed another patent. So he was granted on December 7th, 2021. And then another application, and most of these are just more examples of all the things that are covered by Reggie's patent. Reggie's patent covers anything that is peer-to-peer capital market related. So all the whole part about Ethereum running and controlling the system. No, that's in Reggie's patent. XRP doing cross-border transactions with crypto enabled. That's in Reggie's patent. Coinbase, the wallet situation, all that, Reggie's patent. But it's just Reggie. With Theta, it's like, oh, you got Theta and you got Google, Samsung, Sony, blah, 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 all the way down the line. Both of them will be massively impactful. With Reggie, it's just Reggie. So yeah, that's Reggie's problem. But at the same time, the fact that they have frozen Reggie's tokens and not destroyed them, and Reggie has, it's a multi-sig wallet. Reggie is one of the signatures. Not that the tokens are the big deal. The patent is the big deal. Reggie created 100 million tokens, and so there's only 2 million out there that are trading, and all the rest were controlled by Reggie, and then the SEC came in and illegally shut them down, in my opinion. Everybody else in the crypto world has been let off scot-free for the most part. Even the deep state pedo cabal, the EOS gang and the Tether gang and all that. What if Trump lets Reggie off? And all of a sudden Reggie has the patent on DeFi. What would that do to the price of the 2 million Veritasium tokens that are floating out there? I don't know. But Cliff's data had it going higher than Bitcoin. And it's hard to find out right now what Veritasium's trading for. We are giving away Veritasium tokens. It's not traded on any exchanges anymore. It's literally persona non grata, which is like probably the most important place for it to be when this whole shit falls apart. But if they do forgive Reggie's patent and say, okay, go do what you were doing. Oh, by the way, and help us put the system back together, like he was going to do for the Jamaican stock exchange, peer-to-peer transactions. You don't need a middleman. And this was all in Cliff's data. Then yeah, that's the monkey wrench that Trump, I think he will. I think he's going to throw that monkey wrench into the crypto world as the system falls apart. mainly because so many deep state pedo actors knee deep in. I'd say they own 80% of the cryptos. I know, scary shit. All right, that's what I got for you. A really cool video on a lighter note. Really cool video called "Inside a Fortress Containing $2 billion of the Gold and Silver." This is the Sunshine Mint. These guys went to the Sunshine Mint, the largest private mint in the world, I believe, and went through the whole process of how do you make coins and how do you purify the metal, and really great chat and walking around so you can see it all happening. Those of you bitching and moaning, I got to pay over spot for my whatever. It's like, here's why you have to pay over spot. For spot price of silver is the COMEX price. It's amazing what they do to create each and every coin so perfectly. And Tom Power runs that place. I think it's Tom or Tim. Tim Power? Tom Power. Tim Power. Tim Power, Tom Power. I don't remember. And he's a good guy. I've talked to him. I talked to him once, and I'm like, I get it. They're a good guy, but at the same time, these are the guys that give the U.S. Mint most of the. I don't blame them. No, they're standalone. Most of the blanks, the planchettes for the Silver Eagles. So he had to go elsewhere because the U.S. Mint refused to sell Silver Eagles, which is another thing we can go into at another time. Holy moly, this is a long one. I was going to put this in the public arena, but I think I talked too much about things that aren't allowed to be talked about. Feel free to share this video with anybody and everybody. And I'll probably post it on the YouTube depending on what's going on next week. But keep an eye on what's going on with the JPMorgan thing. And yeah, it's kind of crazy right now. So be careful out there. And I almost said do something good for the world, which is what Jeffrey Christian says every time he leaves a video. I'm like, oh my God. Jeffrey, if you want to do something good for the world, why don't you tell the world really what's going on in silver and stop lying to the world about how much silver is being used in every part of the world, and stop bowing down to your banking partners. Anyway, that's what I got for you. Again, we are giving away one Veritasium token while they last. It's a lottery ticket. That's what I like to tell people. But I think it's a lottery ticket that has every day a better and better chance to pay off in some form. Again, during the crash, who knows? 6 months from now, when everything's kind of back on track and everything's settled where it needs to settle, I think Veritasium, definitely you want some T-Fuel, and the number one asset, physical silver. If you don't have a local guy, always start local. Contact Andy Scheckman at Miles Franklin. Send him an email, info@milesfranklin. Always buy what he's got in inventory. I think he's got some pre-65 coinage in inventory, which is a great way to, if you live in the U.S., to get some metal. And they'll ship to your front door. You just wire them the check the next day, or wire them the money the next day, and they'll send out your physical silver to you. That's my take. Silver Eagles, probably the number, they'll be worth the most. I don't know if you're looking at, okay, that's a lot of premium, but you get a lot of premium back on the back end. I think the premiums are too high, and the U.S. Mint is artificially not making the silver rounds, the Silver Eagles. So that's what I got. You guys take care. Thank you for all your support of Road to Ruta. We're going to give these Veritasium tokens away as long as we can. I do not expect to do much communications. If the internet goes down, I can't. So I don't know what the future brings when the system goes down, whether or not the internet would even work. At least for a while. And I'm hoping it doesn't turn into World War III. It might. Anything's possible. But I think the good guys behind the scenes kind of have everything under control as far as pulling the plug. And I think that will take care of a lot of our problems. I don't think Russia... I think Trump, Russia, Putin, and Xi of China are working together in this, believe it or not. So China's the last bad man. First it was Trump in 2016, then it was Putin for the last 4 years, and then next is Xi's turn. And it's easy for Xi to shut off China for the rest of the world and just say, hey, I got 1.3 billion people I need to take care of. I don't need to sell these goods and services to anybody. And by the way, we're taking Taiwan back. I guess we'll find out. Crazy days. This is Bix. I'll talk to you guys later.